workshop that was really organized for them. And in March, we are still here again for this Global Finance and Investment Week celebration with a critical agenda putting investors first. Those in the finance and investment space tracking us do recognize that our packages are always timely and relevant to the industry. We always take the lead. In brevity, what should we be expecting from here? Confidence restored to the industry. For CGI to produce top-notch industry players, to spearhead the solutions for economic finance and investment ills that plague the industry, we have put a system in place to curtail this. May I please humbly advise you to take advantage of our quarterly continuous professional development. On the 10th of April, we will undertake the first one, which is on financial statement analysis. We have 2 chartered accountants with over 20 years in the financial markets to navigate us through this. They have consulted for international bodies, the government of Ghana, just to mention a few. Book a seat today for the CPD. Then again, on the 26th of June, 2021, there will be a CPD on international trade. And on the 25th of September, 2021, there will be one on liquidity and asset liability management. The last one comes off in November 27th, and it is on anti-money laundering. Other key programs for the year are as follows. We will be having the second Future of Finance Summit in May 2021. The third Ghana Finance and Investment Summit also comes off in August. We are going to have the Charter Awards and dinner in October 2021. We are going to have also the Women in Finance and Investment Week in December 2021. Along all these activities, we will be having intermittent webinars and online training sections for both members and candidates. We are looking forward to having mentorship and internship opportunities for members and candidates. That will be all for now. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Saki. That was a comprehensive information on what the CGI Network Ghana has been up to and what they are about to do. And so if you were here and you didn't have, or you were not privy to the activity log for 2021 for the CGI Network Ghana, that is what Emmanuel Saki has briefly run us through. He talked about the CPDs that are upcoming. We have one on the 10th of April. If you haven't booked a seat, like he said, quickly do so, because it's going to give you the upper hand wherever you are, the competitive advantage over industry peers. It is time to take advantage of what the network is doing. Thank you so much, Mr. President, and thank you so much, Chairperson of the Membership Committee, Emmanuel Saki. So right on, just before I hand over to the moderator for the day, let me just quickly take us through what the CGI is all about. If you are here and today is your first time joining any of our summits or our webinars, then I'm going to take this opportunity to give you a clear information of what the Chartered Global Investment Analyst is all about. And so the CGIA is basically a globally recognized professional body of finance and investment professionals all over the world who are setting global standards for the finance and investment industry. Now, the CGIA Institute actually awards the CGIA Charter designation, and it is headquartered in New York. Now, it is a professional qualification that is actually opened to particularly people who have business backgrounds, accounting background, and what have you. However, it's not limited to these kind of people. If you want to be a part of the CGIA, if you want to qualify as a member, if you want to be given the title a Chartered Global Investment Analyst, then I would run you through just a few processes to take. Number one, you're looking to registering as a member on the website of the CGIA Institute. Now, after you have visited the website, you get the opportunity to fill an online membership form that later gives you the opportunity to get an exclusive ID from the Institute, and then you can start taking your exams. Now, you do not just join this professional qualification, what you do is that you go through a series of exams. You have to qualify, pass, and then you are given the go-ahead to use the four letters, the CGIA. So we have this qualification segregated in 3 levels. Level 1, you go through 4 papers. Level 2, you go through 6 papers, and then level 3, you take another 4. All in all, or in summation, you are taking 14 papers to become a qualified chartered global investment analyst. Now, you may want to ask, is there any way you could be sponsored or given a scholarship? Well, I have a good news for you. Because of COVID-19, the Institute actually thought it wise to support all members and non-members who have interest in building a career in the finance and investment industry. And they're thinking because of COVID, and COVID has incapacitated a lot of people financially, they said that they have come our way with several schemes of scholarship that gives members and non-members the opportunity to join the Institute through a scholarship. And so if you visit our website, you could take any of the scholarships available. We have the Global Access Scholarship, we have the Women in Finance Scholarship, we have the scholarship that is for students, and then finally we have the one they launched for media professionals. And so when you visit our website, whichever category you belong to, if you are a student, you would go for the student scholarship. If you are a woman, you want to, go for the Women in Finance Scholarship. If you are any other person, a boy, girl, you can also go for the Global Access Scholarship. You stand the opportunity or the privilege of getting a full or a partial scholarship to pursue your CGIA qualification. I think I'm going to just wrap up here. And then if you have more questions about the CGIA, you can make use of the Q&A button, the button at the bottom, so that we would attend to you. Any question you have, amidst the conversation, amidst the summit while speakers are talking, do not limit yourself. You can just send questions in and then we'll attend to you accordingly. I hope that everyone there has a fair idea of what the CGIA is about. Like I also mentioned earlier, the CGIA thrives on its member networks in various countries. In Ghana, we have the CGIA Network Ghana. If you happen to be a member of the CGIA and you are not yet a network member, then you are missing out on a lot, because the CGIA basically rests on the shoulders of this network to do all activities in the country. And so we'll also share the registration to be part of the network link with you at the end of the summit, and then you can join. The network also is broken down into various committees that makes it easy for members to become active, for members' contribution to be noticed, and members to become meaningful as they join the network. And so we have the University Relations Committee, we have a committee for members, membership committee, we have advocacy committee, we have the fundraising committee, and what have you. When you join, you choose which committee you want to belong to, in which you get the opportunity to express what you can give to the Institute as well. And so I think with this, I should say that I've given enough information about the network and also the mother body, the CGIA Institute. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just about to go directly into our conversation for the day. The theme for the webinar is putting investors first. What does it really mean to put investors first? Today, we are going to hear from the perspective of academics. We are going to hear from fund managers' perspective. We are going to hear from individual investors' perspective, and then even from the regulators' perspective. And so I just want you to sit tight and enjoy the conversation that is about to hit you. I'm going to hand over quickly to Lydia, who happens to be the moderator for the day. Lydia, please take over.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, indeed, we can hear you.
Great. Once again, you're all welcome to today's webinar, in which we'll be focusing on, concepts, issues surrounding the fiduciary responsibility of putting your client's interests first in the area of finance and investment management. Of course, this equally applies to every other professional finance service in which there is some form of fiduciary responsibility. Again, my name is Lydia Ajabu. I'm a research analyst with IC Securities. But of course, this evening I'll be serving in my own capacity as a candidate of the CGIA Institute. Now, before I waste any more time, I'd like to remind all of us to equally observe all the etiquettes regarding having a webinar. Please keep your microphones on mute until you are asked to perhaps ask a question or allowed to speak. I would now like to introduce or allow my panelists to introduce themselves. But today we have, as Gifty said, top professionals in various fields who are going to help us understand what it actually does mean to put your client's interest first. We have, as part of our panelists, Mr. Kojo Boachi, who's the MD of Monarch Capital. We have Dr. Wilberforce Agri, who's a lecturer at BKN USD. And we also have Professor Osefwa of Venda University. And I would want to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves, beginning with Mr. Kojo Boachi. Give us a brief background of yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Lydia. My name is Gabson Kojo Boachi. I'm the Managing Director for Monarch Capital Limited. Monarch is located at 201 Iwa Drive, Abelimpe. I'm a chartered accountant and a chartered banker by profession, and I've been practicing or working in the finance industry for the last 30 years.
Right, thank you so much. Can Dr. Wilberforce Agri step in?
Okay, I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Right, so I'm an engineer, chartered engineer, and a lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. I'm in the field of oil and gas, currently the head of department of the Oil and Gas Institute. And apart from that, I also do have my own private firm that I practice on my professional practice. And I am a wild investor, so probably that's how I find myself here. So basically that's that.
Thank you for that. Prof. Osefwa, you may go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Professor Emmanuel Osefwa. I'm a Ghanaian. You can hear from my accent, but I've been out of the country for some time. I'm based in South Africa. Specifically, I'm a professor, associate professor in the Department of Accountancy, University of Venda in the far north, in Limpopo province. And also I'm the head of department, and I've been teaching, I taught finance, research, methodology, as well as currently I'm teaching taxation, South African tax at the postgraduate level. We do research into finance, financial literacy, and others. And we also I supervise master's, post, and PhD and honors students. And I'm also a chartered CGI member. I just joined last year, and hopefully I will do my best to contribute to the development of the profession worldwide. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you too. I'll entreat all our panelists to keep their videos on for us as we begin the conversation on the area of interest. Thank you very much. Right, so let's get on to business. From our panelists, I would like to know, what does it really mean to put your client's interest first? And I would like everyone to have a go at this, beginning with Prof. Osefwa.
Thank you very much. Your name again, please.
I'm Lydia.
Lydia?
Yes.
Lydia, yeah. Thank you, Lydia, for giving the opportunity to just express my opinion on the concept. Putting investors first, basically, we all do investments. In fact, even I'm in an academic, and I'm academic, so my students are invested because they've invested time and money to join the university or to in the higher tertiary institution to get a return on investment. So we normally look at them as our customers. We treat them with they must have trust in us. We train them properly. So technically speaking, when we come to the area of academics, our investors are parents or stakeholders or students who come in to get the necessary training and then come out and have all the necessary skills, at least the basic minimum skills, so that they can face the world when they get out or when they graduate. So in the process, we got to really treat them properly, treat them with all the due respect. They must have trust, they must have confidence in us, our curriculum, our approach to them, all the processes that will make them to be very solid on the ground. This is what we do for them. And at the end of the day, when the students go through the tertiary or the university system, they have confidence in themselves. And when we come to the area of finance itself, putting investors first basically has to do with putting their interest, because an investor or a client or a customer is someone who has put money into a financial, a financial product or so. And they are expecting, the word is, they expect a return, and they place confidence in the financial advisor. So if the financial advisor does not meet the expectations of the investor, then there's going to be some disagreement in the place. So from my point of view, putting an investor first is to put their interest above our interest to ensure that their expectations are met, basically. Thank you.
Right. Dr. Wilberforce, can you give your opinion on this matter as well?
Well, I come from the perspective of an investor, so I believe that, for anyone to put the interest of an investor, first, to me, I'm looking at committing to the highest ethical standard in the industry that, the person, as me as an individual, bring in whatever that I have. So I'm looking at, the person adapting to the strictest form of, governance, and the standards that control, the investment portfolio that I am applying myself to. In that wise, to me, I see that you are putting my interest first, because I'm getting the right advice, and this is important to me, or to any investor for that matter. I'm getting the right advice at the right time, at the right place, in the right environment, and I believe if there is any one of these that I'm getting wrong, I as an investor need to be, my attention needs to be drawn to. So that's how I see that my interest is placed first.
Thank you. Mr. Boachi, can you come in on this as well? Hello? Yes, Mr. Boachi.
Yes. Sorry, I think I forgot to unmute my phone.
Right.
Yes, I was recapping. The question is why putting in investors' interest first. That's correct?
What does it actually mean? What does it mean to put
What
your
does it mean? What does it mean? Yes. It means, okay, as a practitioner, putting an investor's first means a whole lot of your business or my business. One, in terms of strategy, you need to know who are those investors. And that basically, the investors are your customers and they are also your suppliers, because they will take your products and they will bring you the products. We buy money and sell money, basically. I buy money and sell money. So I tend to say that I'm a watchman. But then that person who brings me the money, he comes in as an investor. The guy who comes in to buy the money comes in maybe in the form of advisory or something, financial restructuring or anything. And you might end up calling the person a client. And in effect, both have interests and they are your investors in perspective, because you have invested in them. You should make sure you get a good return so that you can pay the same yield or in return to your suppliers. Now, in that perspective, you have the needs of the client and the law, as well as the company's interest, which in terms of strategy. So putting investors first, for me, means the whole lamp of our business, why we are in what we do. We do it because it fits the purpose for the strategy. It fits the purpose in terms of legal and regulatory requirements, and it fits the purpose in the terms of the client's needs.
Right. So from what our panelists have said, it's clear that when you say you're putting your clients first, you are putting the interest of your clients above your own. There must be some form of strict application to the prevailing regulations or the applicable regulations in the sort of business that you are running, or what is it that you are offering to clients. Make sure that you are indeed following the regulations. And of course, you must focus on the need of your clients. You must do what is necessary to ensure that the need of your clients as an investor is met. As you gave your responses, I heard you talk of, financial advice. If someone comes to you for financial advice, typically you will find in prospectus offering financial products or in advertisements that before you take this particular product, seek advice or speak to your financial advisor. So I would like to ask from our panelists, what do you believe constitutes good financial advice? Gabson, you may speak on that.
Okay, thank you, Lydia. I think basically, most of my presentation or summation will be based from experience. For me, advisory is an information you'll be exchanging with the client. And as an information or any report, there are certain key items that makes that information to be classified as good. The advice to be good. The advisory client wants the information for a strategic decision, and that information must not incur a loss to the person. Therefore, first of all, the information must be accurate. The advice that you are providing must have an accurate information. It must be complete. You cannot give information which are not complete or advice that is incomplete. It has to be correct. You see, one form will be the financial is accurate or it's a fact, and there will be correctness. It has to be correct in its presentation. It has to be user-friendly. You see, the information cannot be just passed on as if the person is also a PhD holder in financial whatever or actuary. It has to be user-friendly. Therefore, we need to be able to break it down to the level of your client. It has to be relevant. The information has to fit the purpose of the client. Each client is different. Just like human beings, we have different structures, different sizes. Same our organization, same our with our clients. Their needs differ. Therefore, the information must be relevant to that client for the purposes for which they came or approached you. The information must be accessible. They should be able to have access to the information when they want it and at the time they need, i.e., therefore, it has to be timely. And finally, whatever advisory service or advice you provide must be economical. It's not something that they will have to pay through their noses in order to access that information. In that case, you won't be able to say you've given a sound financial advice. And in order for you to be able to put all these together, you would have done a few bits of the onboarding queries and analysis and whatever, and then you should have been able to determine who are those clients so that you can fit the advice to their needs. Thank you.
Great, thank you. That was rather very comprehensive. Dr. Wilberforce, would you say that, or for anyone else on the panel who may want to speak on this, would you say it is good practice for financial service providers to, give financial advice to clients signing on to new products, whether it is solicited or unsolicited, given the way, our products are structured on the market?
Well, I agree with Gabson on what he said, but the key thing to me, sometimes I don't know, but sometimes you are there, you receive calls from banks, and of course they look at all sort of things, and then you are called for a number of engagements, a number of products. Well, how do I see it? I don't see it, for me, from the perspective where I come from or where I'm looking at. I do projects, and I need money to finance those projects. So if my bankers, my financial institution have any new product, and then they are, telling me that I can look at, that option rather than what I've been used to, I think it's good for me. But you see, the key thing lies in the credibility of what, how they have dealt with me in the past. All right. So if in the past they have been very credible, with, our relationship, then based on their credibility, I develop faith in them. It is out of faith that trust is born. So for me, I don't think that is anything, for example, insurance firms come around a lot, and that's one thing everybody experiences. All right. Insurance firms, they always come around, introducing new product and all that. But the underlying thing for us as investors always lies in the people that we are dealing with. How credible are they? And, Gabson in his earlier presentation said, he sells money, and, he serves as a bridge, So if I have not dealt with you, who has dealt with you, and what is the person saying about you? That is what is important to me. So I look at that today. Just today, I was introduced to a firm on a project that we are trying to mobilize for. And, I have all this good information about a firm, but and then I said, okay, I'm going to call them and then and see, what they can offer. I will not make that step if I've not been introduced to them to be a credible institution. So I don't see any problem with, new product being introduced to investors, but that, that financial institution got to be credible.
Right, but assuming you have seen some product somewhere, you've made your analysis of it, and you feel the product is good, and you walk into some financial service provider's office to sign on for the product. Should we expect them to, give us advice, even though we may not have asked for it?
Absolutely so, Lydia. Absolutely so. Listen, the world thrives on information. And that's why if the last book you've ever read was, the book you read when you were in school, then you are far behind. So if you introduce a product to me and I read it and I come to you and you are not going to go beyond what I have read, all right? What I've read is just the letter. Tell me about the spirit behind what is there. Look, I give you one experience. I signed up to an insurance, package, and then later on I realized that it was an 18-year package, and I said, wow, why would anybody sign up to something like that? Why? Because I was given the information. I thought that it was very nice. They had just started, and but yet that bit was not given me. If it was given me, for me, all right, I was not looking for an 18-year package because I already have an 18-year package for, for other things. So I'm not ready to sign up for further 18-year packages. All right. So that is why it's important that though I have come to you saying that I have read, I have seen this, I have seen that, and I think it's good, yet you must be able, it's like seeing a doctor. What is wrong with you? You've already stated it, but he wants you to validate it, confirm it over and making sure you understand. I'm come to do this procedure on you. When I do it, it will be this, that. They've told you several times, but when he's going to do it, he will tell you again. That is what we expect from financial institutions. If you do that, then I'll find you.
Lydia, just a quick one.
Right. Hello. Yes.
There is an issue when this whole conversation is about putting investors first. Okay, there has to be a mechanism, there has to be a machine by which this is done. Now, most companies who do not have these, let me say, code, or what they say, highest code of ethics, what does the investor really want? So you have a series of products that are on the market. Behind all of these products, we have T's and C's, which are the terms and conditions. Now, an investment bank or an investment place have T and C's attached to every product. In one of our seminars, I think I got to realize that we have what we call front-loading fee that is attached to any investment. If it's supposing it's, let's say, DataBank's M fund or whatsoever, then it means that the amount of money that you actually invested is not what they're investing. They've taken out a front-loading fee. You do not know this. Now, the reason you do not know this is that all the information is not given to you. Now, if you remember, Mr. Gabson was saying that the information must be relevant, there must be some, it must be timely, and it has to be freely accessible, and it has to be accurate. All right? So while saying this, any investor, for now, we do not have the machine in place, must ensure that they have done their research to see whether the information is accurate, is timely, it is relevant, it is accessible, meaning every information that I have is the same information the investment place. So when I go to this place, I need to ask, I read A, B, C, D here. So is this what I'm reading true? Because in this part of our world, because of the intention of these places to make returns, and this return is also to what we call create shareholders' wealth, they do not put the investors first. All right. So it is now incumbent on us, because we do not really have any investment place that tells you that, okay, we are putting investors first. So unsolicited for information, which is in the TNC, will be brought forth for you to understand, because like Wilberforce was saying over there, if he knew he was signing on an 18-year, let's say, expiry date of a particular investment, he would not have invested. So they would not freely give this information to you because they need you on board. You've got it. So what we need to push forward in placing investment first is, for example, begin to have institutions that have this code, signing onto a code saying we put investors first. And that is why we make, one of the most important things that Mr. Gabson said was transparency. I was recently approached, okay, by a foreign investment company. And you know what they did? They told me, Mr. Wontumi, we have series of these products, okay? Some of these interest rates are volatile. In fact, I put it to the guy, he's British. I bombarded him with so much questions that he had no choice but to give me all the information involved. So what I'm coming to this rigmarole behind what I'm saying is that if you, as an investee or an investor in this our market, because we are not talking about out there market, we're talking about market in here, and we are trying to make an impact, do not have adequate information, ask for the T&Cs, ask for the small fine letter. Don't be in a hurry to invest. Once you have read it, ask more questions. Once you are okay, then invest and trust that investment house because you got all your information. So we need to up our game by being quite educated. Thank you.
Right. And with what you've said, you know, there has been some discourse generally that in delivering a service, right, an investment advisor may actually recommend a service that may be suitable for you, but may not be in the best interest of the client. So if someone could help us understand this suitability standard. I know it's important that you offer the product suitable, as well as what the difference is in terms of the suitability standard and the fiduciary standard. Prof. Sefwa can come in
thank
on
you.
this.
Thank you, Lydia. Even I wanted to make a comment, give a comment on the previous question you asked.
Sure.
I'm based in South Africa, and then I know each country has got its own rules and regulations, and the effectiveness of those laws, the regulatory bodies must really be solid and sound. I've been in South Africa for some time, over a decade now, and where there was a time where the financial services sector just do as they please. People at the airport, our finance minister some time ago was so furious. At the airport, they can just ask you to sign for a credit card and you get it, and people cannot pay back. There was one lady who said the father was on retirement, and one of the banks just gave her a credit card to the tune of 50,000 those days, over 10 years ago, which is now in Ghana's currency now will be about say 16 or 15,000 rands. And he used it and he couldn't pay back, and the bank wanted to possess his assets. He said, no, you were the one who gave him. You knew that he was a retiree. So in the process, then the Minister of Finance brought some laws and rules, and which are biting. So now, like individuals, the banks, even if you are in a bank, your bank can profile you, and then they know the type of product is suitable for you. So they can call you. You can, in fact, most of us are giving personal bankers who, from time to time, sometimes you do some transaction, you don't need to go to the bank. You just call them, and the process. I got stuck in the US. I just called them, and they sorted me out. So they will be able to deal with you according to your need. So, and then they are also required by law that even if you are giving a financial product over the phone, they must give you the information up front that this is, we are licensed financial service providers in so A, B, and C. All the conversation will be recorded for clarity and for investigation and that type of thing. So at the end of the day, if you're not satisfied, you can ask for more information. So everything is done in good faith. And in case you are misled and you lose, then the financial service provider will be held accountable, and the law works. The money can be refunded to you. Even now, these days, most of our things are transacted through the banks, and even checkbooks are no longer in existence in South Africa now. 31st December, we no longer use checkbooks. So if you even set up a debit orders on your account, and then somebody tempers with it, and if it is not it's not your fault, the bank can investigate. They have an institution that does that, and then the bank can refund your money to you. That is after police investigation, etc., etc. However, the financial service provider cannot hide under the T&Cs, because those are the small print we said, like one of the speakers said. They cannot hide because those things are voluminous and very small. So you have to take time. That's why there's a need for the person to sit down with you. You don't rush also into making serious financial decisions just like that. So those are some of the issues I'm bringing from the South African perspective, where the system is robust, and then you are trying as much as possible. They are trying as much as possible to ensure that everything is done in good faith, so that I have confidence and trust in the financial, advisors of the financial service sector, like the brother who just said that 18 years, insurance. They should have told him up front that is a long-term insurance, not short-term insurance. So if you mislead the person, that is intentional, it's deliberate, it's done in bad faith. So if our laws don't work, I tell you, we cannot succeed as investment professionals, and then clients as well. People will be frustrated, and then in the end, people will start fighting. But I believe also that one of the key issues I have to base on is that the regulatory framework in every country must be effective. It must be working, so that in case I have disagreement with my client and we could not solve it, I can take it to the court. And I have confidence in the court, the judicial system, that it will be resolved. So that is my comment. Thank you.
Right, thank you for that. From our conversations, it's clear that there is a role that as a client you need to equally play to ensure that the service provider puts your interests first, and that is making sure that you read the fine prints, going through the terms and conditions with your financial advisor or service provider to ensure that you understand what you're going into. And there's much need for more disclosure and transparency in such transactions. Now, with the recent financial sector reforms in Ghana, we saw the revocation of the licenses of several financial institutions, including 7 banks, 53 fund management companies, with cleanup costs in excess of 21 billion Ghana cedis. In your opinion, can we attribute this to failure of these institutions to simply prioritize clients' interests? Gabson, can you come in on this?
Yes, I can. If you don't mind, let me just step back. You asked for the difference between fiduciary standard and suitability standard. Let me just paraphrase the two in the quickest format. Now, suitability standard normally deals with rules. It's rules-based. Hence, it has specific objectives and perspectives. But fiduciary tends to be process-led, so it's process-oriented, and therefore it will be more inclined towards subjectivity because it relates to a particular event, looking back retrospectively of a historic transaction. So suitability, rules, fiduciary, process. And these two, academicians and school of thoughts have different views which one is superior, but that is up to each individual because each of them serves its purpose. Now, the next question topic we are discussing is about the financial sector reforms in Ghana. Now, personally, I have my own opinions because I put it in the simplest analogy that if you give birth to, let's say, 10 kids, and you have 3 of them being vagabonds, you don't go to your room or bedroom, pick a gun, bang, 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 fire it, kill them. No, you have a process of discipline, which you can take your kids through to get them to conform to the rules and regulations within the house. And in the same manner, I believe that the 21 billion spent maybe could have been used economically in otherwise to have been served a better purpose, or maybe done, we could have been dealt with in a different way. I mean, it's a divided opinion, and I'm not here to play politics. I'm a professional. I do my job. In fact, Monarch was one of the 53 that was revoked. But thank God, and thanks to the rules and the standards, we got our license back. And I appreciate all the work that SEC did. Now, from that perspective, and from where I sit, I believe that as a country with this industry is still in a embryonic stage, there are a lot that we need to do. And putting investors first should have even been one of the criteria for deciding whether we should kill this bank or merge this bank. I mean, putting investors first. Think of the investors. And who are they? They are the suppliers and they are the clients. And they are the same parties that pay the tax. They create the job. And so it's a very dynamic environment. And for me, it's a bit touchy for me. And I'm not very comfortable with some of the decisions of our politicians, but that's their job and I have my job. So I do my job and I make sure I brighten the corner where I am comfortably. Thank you.
Right. Dr. Wilberforce, agree. Do you think the failures we saw or the collapse of some of the banks was simply because there was a general failure to just put clients' interest first?
Well, I think that from our discussions, it's clear that over the period, most of the financial institutions, and I say it with a lot of care, and I choose my words carefully. So I say most of the financial institutions did not put the interest of the investor first. I also do appreciate from Enoch's point that he made that what about the investor himself? Because you see, this question, it divides opinions, all right? Because look, I like wild investment, and the point is, we the investors too, what were we looking for? Looking for interest rates way above the roof. You get it? So I think for me, and this is also personal, I think for me, it was like there was this, gap that was created. And this gap that was created, it has a lot of history. It has a political side. It has failure from the financial institution side, greed from the side of investors. And we were all in this gap. And it was more like who could outwit who. And so once all this fight was going on, the politician felt that he wanted to bring sanity into the whole thing. But then he forgot that it was all of us that created a mess. And so we needed all of us to have sat to clean up the mess. And he cleaned it himself. And then, it brought about all these issue. So I think that this particular question divides opinions. We can see from different perspectives, even from, from the academic perspective, people will say that yes, indeed, how would Bank of Ghana be, issuing licenses, ABC? But the point was that it's not the same Bank of Ghana people who said that these licenses were not obtained in the right manner, but it was the same Bank of Ghana people who supervised it. So, I think there was a gap and everybody was in it. Those of us who went in and saw it quickly and got advice from the same financial institution people that come and remove your money, come and remove your money. We removed our money and, we're safe. Others, unfortunately, I'm not saying that, the fact that your money was logged in there, you were greedy or you were not, because all of us were there. I was there. Men's go, we all went there. And, some of us came out early. So for me, I think that it's a gap that was created. And then the people were smart, but it's just that we didn't solve it well. And as a country, we need to protect our own. Because you see, you look at, Parkwesi Indum's bank and the number of people he was employing, come on. we should have solved it well. On that, I agree. But on the politicians also trying to solve it, on another breath, you know, you want to agree with them. But I think we did not solve it right. All of us needed to have sat at the table and solve it. So the government will tell you guys, look, you were dealing with people who are not being controlled, all right? So you get your money, but you get your money late. Take your time. The way in which, you know, they were paying others and others were not being paid. If it was you, what will you do? You go in for your money. So they should have, you know, sat with everybody so that, you know, but that's my perspective anyway.
Right.
Hi, Lydia.
So hi. Yes.
This is Prof speaking.
Yes.
I just want to make a comment also to follow what he's saying.
Sure.
Yeah. Right. I'm not in the system, but I've been coming and going. You see, what I pick up is this. I'm also not a politician. I'm an academic. And we train students. In our in South Africa, we have what we call students as risk, right? It means that when you bring the students to the system in the university, after the first test or assessment, you pick up those students who underperform. So they are at risk of failing at the end of the semester. So we have interventions in place. So we have a monitoring system that will quickly pick these students immediately. Then there might be some people are slow learners, etc., or some of them because of the freedom in the university, they were just playing around. So when you bring to the attention, hey, my friend, you are going to fail at the end of the semester, and then you cannot proceed, or something will happen to you. Then we have systems in play like extra classes, tutorials, etc., so that we build these people up. Because at the end of the day, we're spending a lot of money on the students, bursaries, etc. We want to produce national assets. So we cannot just leave them that, no, let them fail. No, if they fail, the lecturers and the university has failed. So, and the same applies to the economy. We want to develop our economy, and we are the only people who can develop the economy. Nobody from outside will build the economy. So if somebody like Wilberforce has built a bank, and then the monitoring organization that are not doing their work, then they must take the higher blame, because they can quickly pick up if they are reporting on quarterly basis or they monitor. They will know that there is something wrong with a number of banks. Then you call them to order that, look, if it continues this way and nothing is done, then you will collapse. They've ignored it. You see, our country, we got independent in 1957. Some of us were not born, most of us. Now, where are we going? You see, so interventions who have sorted out this issue long ago, look, it has got social impact. I was reading a paper online where one guy said he was working at the bank, earning some money, building houses, he has cars. When the banks collapsed, now he has nothing. He's furious, he's bitter, he's angry. So the monitoring body, or I don't know whether it's the Bank of Ghana or an institution that does that, there's a lapse there, they have failed. Now, if you spend 21 billion to close down an asset, look, our economy is crumbling. Colleagues, let's be honest, let's tell the truth, let's be honest. I think there's too much hypocrisy in Ghana, including myself, I'm a Ghanaian. Let's be honest with one another. Let's try and address issues as they are, and let's help build the economy. People don't have confidence in our national bank because of such things. But I believe that if we can quickly pick the monitoring system or the institutions that are supposed to do their work, let them do it properly and we in good faith. You see, at the end of the day, what legacy are we going to leave for our children and children's children? You see, the banks, the foreign banks that we trusted, is because their institution in their countries, are in order. You cannot do some things, are you there with me? So the same thing must be applied in our country, so that these institutions must be checked on a regular basis and then sorted out. Like the brother gave example about the family. Yes, we check on our children, and then we don't kill them because they mess around. We also mess around. It's only that the children are not aware. If they were to be aware of our messing around, they would have challenged us that this is what we did when we were young. You get what I mean? So I believe strongly that there must be a monitoring system which must be robust indeed. They must be accountable to also maybe parliament. So on regular basis, I don't know the political system, but if they are also accountable to a higher body, then You have not received this report on the banks. What are you doing? Have been addressed long ago, and banks have been worked, will be there, and then those who have lost their job, they will have to be employed, and then employed others as well. So that is my comment. Thank you.
Right. So from what has been said so far, clearly everyone has a role to play when it comes to making sure that clients or investors' interests are put first. And from our conversations, it appears that there were regulatory lapses in ensuring that clients' interests are put first. So what now I'd want to ask is, what actions do you now going forward, especially let's say for the securities industry in Ghana? What kind of regulatory actions, what additional actions do you expect the relevant regulators to now pursue as part of efforts to ensure that clients' interests are put first? Because right now SEC has put some moratorium on giving licenses for fund management companies, and they put that there because they are reviewing their current regulations and trying to address different challenges in the industry. So from your perspective, what sort of actions do you expect, let's say, the SEC with regards to the securities industry to do as part of efforts to ensure that clients' interests are put first? Gabson, you can take a lead on this.
Okay. I will put a caveat in my comment in retrospective to the last comment I made. Now, as an accountant, or all of us within the CGIA, if you spend 21 billion to reform something that would have required 4 billion, will you determine that as being economical or not? Because the banks that were collapsed were required to have had a minimum of 400 million. So 10 of them would have been 4 billion.
Absolutely.
And we collapsed them, the lower tier and the other bits and pieces. Now, that is up to the economists and the financiers to determine. But then, having collapsed that, the question now we are, the topic we are discussing now is what sort of measures should be in place.
Right.
Lydia, I think all the measures are already existing. You see, in Ghana, I'm a Ghanaian, I've lived in Ghana, and I'm still living in Ghana, but I think I've lived more in the Europe than in Ghana. I've spent 26 years of my life living in Europe. Law and order, they go together, they are twins. The law is the letter. What is being put down, the bylaws, the statutory laws, the regulatory laws, the whatever you've put together, they are the laws. But the order, the practical bit, the application, the implementation of the rules, that is the most difficult thing, and that's what's lacking in our country. I can't believe that we have a central bank which has a team, a full team of banking supervision division. Every 3 months, they are out. So virtually, they are out 12 months throughout the year, visiting banks. And a bank comes into operation, operates for 5 years, and then one day, a politician wakes up and says, that bank is not fit for purpose. So bang, it's collapsed. That, for me, so we cannot probably create new rules now. The rules are there. It's the implementation. All the rules within an industry, before the industry sets up, all the rules are consolidated. What is done over time is review and updates. And that review and update moves with the time. For instance, now with the pandemic, it's changed the face of how business should be done. We've moved into the 21st century now, officially. We have officially moved into the 21st century, where technology is the lead. If you fail to run up and catch up, you will be left behind. What then needs to be done is that these rules that were previously encast in our shelves at the statutory institutions, the laws, the governors, the regulators, the taxpayers, and the tax regulators, and all those things should now be translated into a tech format. And they should be made accessible to every person or party or user. And it should be simplified for everyone to be able to understand it. We are not technocrats. We are not all tax experts. We don't expect everyone to be a banker, a chartered accountant, whatever. It should be broken down. And then it should be at the forefront of us. It should be pushed on us. And then there should be people employed, paid with a mandatory and the ethical mode of authority to see to it that we comply. And I mean, society is like that. I mean, if you read any social book, I mean, in our academics, human beings are like that. Dr. Wilberforce made a statement. He said there was a gap. It's true. It's true. We felt there was a gap and there's an opportunity and we all ran for it. Gold rush, and it crashed. And it crashed, it brought ramifications on the whole of us. Now, as a practitioner, I'm struggling because transparency has been thrown away. My trust has been destroyed. The confidence has been set on fire. So now my clients have fled. They're all gone. If I were any other person, I would say I don't have a business any longer. But one thing that I have always believed is to pursue it at all costs. And if you can't pay, sacrifice your blood to achieve what you dream for, then you are not worth having it. And for this is one of my mottos. So I will strive again and pursue it vehemently. And I believe that the CGIA as an institution will help us to build that moral and ethical environment. I mean, as we go along, I hope we get there, because in one of the questions that probably we will want to explore is to look at what the fiduciary role will be in the relationship. And I think the building of the trust and the confidence which has been destroyed is very key. It's very key. And that means we must ensure that we put all efforts in making sure that we restore the trust. If there is any new rule to be written,
right,
the rule of restoring trust. How do we do that? The institutions must restore trust. Whom do we trust? How do we trust them? That is the question. And I think I don't have an answer for that because it's a broad discussion. Thank you.
Right. I guess we would have to save that for another day.
Another day.
Yes, we have to say that for another day because of lack of time. But please, for those of us who are on the webinar, please feel free to use the question and answer panel to put forward your questions so that with a few minutes we have, we can equally address that.
Lydia.
Hello. Yes. Hello, please. If your microphones are on, please put it off. Yes. Please speak.
This Prof, just to follow up with is it Kojo Boache or what?
Yes,
the
Mr.
previous speaker.
Yes,
yes.
That's him.
I agree 100%. The law and order. You see, every country, if you want to see development, there must be law and order. If there's disorder, there will be no development. Are you there for me? So the institutions themselves must obey the law. You don't have to wait until the regulatory body comes in, because if you know that you must do A, B, C, D, you got to do it. If you need help, consult the regulatory body that we are not meeting these requirements, therefore we need assistance. And if those things are in place, at the end of the day, is the country that we want to develop. So we have to do that. In Europe, like he said, in Europe, any other country, if there's no order, there will be no development. I had a nasty experience in UK where I joined a train going to work or are going to school. Now, in the train, I read that some of the coaches were packed, while there were some of them who were almost empty. In fact, one of them was empty, so I went to sit down. I didn't read the instructions. No, it was the first class. So you must have a first class ticket before you can sit there. So I sat there comfortably. So as we were on the train, then the inspector came, he said, my ticket, he said your ticket, and I showed him the ticket. He said, no, you are not using first class ticket, so you cannot sit in the first class coach. And I'm from Ghana, so that attitude, I wanted to challenge him. He said, if you don't pay on the spot, I'll call the police immediately. They'll get you at the stop, the station. So then and there, I have to use my credit card and pay 10 pounds. The law works. So if I were to refuse, the police will arrest me that side and send me to court. But in our country, the law is not working. We know that we must obey the traffic laws, the traffic rules, the banking rules, the business rules, but we are not obeying. That's why we are all struggling and suffering. So I believe strongly that the law must work. We are not saying that the law must be rigid, like the brother said, but he said, the law and order, what is written is different from what is implemented. So we must be trained to obey the law. Even the little laws, we must obey them. No overspeeding. In towns, you drive maximum of 50 kilometers per hour, but people overtake in towns. That is the problem in Ghana. So we are causing accidents and killing people. So if you come to the business sector, the same thing applies. We must obey laws and they must be implemented. That is my comment and that's my contribution. Please, thank you.
Right, thank you for that. So it's clear. Yes, sure.
Lydia, just a quick one. My problem and my worry consistently, because I do have also educational training background, is the whole thing is steeped in education. We can speak, we can talk, we can rave, we can rant, we can say anything we want. The politician, from the president way down to the makers of the law, unambiguously have no respect for the law except when it meets their perfidious means. Now, why I put it in such strong words is, if the young people we have in our schools today are not taught to respect the law and order, and I'm sitting here upholding myself as an accountant to the highest code of ethics, I walk into Parliament trying to uphold an aspect of the law, and the person you most respect, who is supposed to be both the letter and the spirit of the law, tells you unequivocally that now cannot be practicable. These are the people who are sitting in high authority, are supposed to be respectable. They are supposed to be actually putting up laws to govern this country and push it forward. They themselves are not holding themselves accountable to the law for which they are presiding over. Like I keep saying again, unless it meets their perfidious needs. That is the whole problem. So if we want this thing to change, we've got to revamp the whole educational system. That young, because as I told you, most of us, as Professor Osei and Mr. Gabson have, so we've lived abroad. And a little child can challenge you. A little boy knows his rights and can tell you you're driving on the wrong side of the road. In London especially, it came to me as a shock. When you see a zebra crossing, okay, and you are driving and you see a pedestrian, just step on it, you stop. You don't honk, you stop, all right? And this has strict punitive measures. I have taken a ticket before. If I don't pay within 2 weeks, it rises to a certain amount, and so on and so forth. They don't care. At the time I had my ticket, the policeman who issued me a ticket on my car was very nice. Hello, sir, how you doing? You all right? I said, yes, sir, I'm okay. You know, you parked in the wrong place. I said, I'm sorry, no, because I just found a space and I just parked my car. I said, no, sir, you parked wrongly. Here's the ticket. He just took it. You have a nice day. He's out. He's gone. Smiling. He doesn't care. You understand? So if our whole system of education and training everybody is out of gutter, how do you go and tell a politician who has won a seat from Bompiosu or Fanchineko who doesn't know even the law, sits there and just will say, yo. What do you think it's going to do for us? Absolutely nothing. So the sin is daily compounded by the ineptitude of those who sit there to actually look upon us and give us the law. Ineptitude and foolhardy. Because once envelopes are passed, who is the law? They themselves are the law. So this is the problem. Like just Mr. Gapson, somebody who has been in operation for 5 years. I don't know who was saying this. He said there are people in the bank of God. Please, all of you, I recommend you read Mr. Gapson. He has a book, a publication. I think he said, is it The Changing Face of Ghanaian bank or something like that? The central bank, is it good or bad? Something like that. Please get some of these publications and read them. Or you understand? And so you understand we must begin to question the status quo. And so it has to come down from education way up, because those guys up there, they are going to do nothing for us. You see a government, like you said, one politician gets up, and some people that have been in operation for 5 years, because of whatever it is he's thinking in his head, close it, bam. How are we going to penetrate this? What are we going to do? It's not a hopeless situation. I can speak, Mr. Gapson can speak, but Professor Lumumba, who admired our late President John Magufuli, he said, people who have the brains to rule are not there, but we have the penchant to vote in place foolhardy. So we like politicians who lie, who do not hold themselves accountable. So everything we're doing here for training purposes so beautifully, if we do not have the machinery to go out there and speak and cause effective change, it ends up as a talk shop. That is my frustration living here in Ghana today. So let's change our education. Let's begin to teach our children. And from then on, we can rise systematically. It may not take 10 years. It may probably take 20 years, but when the culture starts, it said, rolling stone gathers no moss. Thank you.
Right, thank you. So it's pretty clear that there have been serious lapses in the regulatory environment or system in itself, and that there is a need for all of us to actually practice the fiduciary duty of obedience to the law, not to just fulfill our duties as and when it feels right for us. Now, you mentioned education. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask, especially posed to our educationalists on the panel. What is the role of university education when it comes to building this culture of this fiduciary culture of placing investors' interests first? What is missing now, and what should be done? If Wilberforce, Professor Safer can step in on this.
Right. Okay, this Professor Safer now, it boils down to the issue of ethics. So ethics must be taught in schools. Like now in South Africa, we are in the Department of Accountancy, and we work closely with the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. They are very, very strict in all these things. We train students who become chartered accountants. So the developing curriculum, in fact, we have even updated the curriculum 2025, where we are going to teach ethics across all the subjects. Ethics must be embedded in financial accounting, tax, auditing, financial management, even economics, to such an extent that ethics have to do with moral behavior, good behavior. So when students are trained from the beginning, and by the time they become chartered accountants or they enter into any field of endeavor, they know that good behavior is required of them, and they must be accountable for their actions. If we don't do that, like the previous speaker said, we will go backwards. I expect that Ghana, by this time, over 60 years of independence, we should be among the top countries in the world. But because of this issue, that people disregard laws, unethical behavior, they don't care, that's a problem. I will tell you a very interesting story, not a story, a real issue, the attitude of a Ghanaian. I came to Ghana last year, December, after the COVID relaxed. I did all the tests in South Africa, paid at the airport, before I embark on the flight to to Accra. Before I left, I have to go to Nugoti and also do my test. It were all negative. But you won't believe that a Ghanaian that I met at OR Tambo Airport coming to Ghana decided to fake COVID test. And the airline wanted to call the police. I was not there. I think I dropped some people. So I want to park the car. When I came back, they were telling me because there was a lot of this thing. And the people have to beg that they should not call the police. I said, if I were to be there, I would have asked the police to come and arrest this guy because this is a very serious issue. So that is the attitude of the Ghanaian. Where did he learn from? From infancy. So like our brother said, if these things can be taught at infancy level, even at family level, that honesty is very important. We are not looking for perfect people. We are looking for the habit or the principle of honesty. Like in the UK, you tell people can tell you, I failed the exams. You don't hide it. But somebody, who fake that no, ethics is very, very important. Ethical issues. If you do that, I think our country will become a better place. Ghana is a beautiful country. People love it. You enjoy yourself. Crime rate is low. Why don't we develop it to become a top-notch, world-class country so that we can all enjoy and leave a legacy for our children? So I believe ethics from even primary school is crucial. Basic ethics, split down, broken down into basics which people can even memorize, like the national anthem, or there's another one, what do you call it? The pledge. All those things must be memorized and applied in our lives and become part of us. And I tell you, things will change. You don't need to force or to push people. If somebody wants to bribe you, you say, no, it's not allowed. I won't take it. If somebody wants to get a birth certificate, you have to queue, you have to go. In South Africa, this is natural. They come to church to issue, that you fill form for passport. Nobody, you don't queue, you don't go and people collect money from you. That is a country. Why do we corner each other? Why do we put pressure, why do we try to destroy each other? That is very dangerous. So ethics is very important. Let's try it. That is my contribution and my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's interesting from Prof's submission. I do agree with him on the concept that, at the center of it is ethics. But you see, we have to look at it holistically. Yes, our accountants that are being trained needs to be taught ethics. And, here at KNH Business School, they do that. They do that, in several of the courses, right from the undergraduate levels. But look, I'm coming from engineering. We teach our students ethics, and all that. But I'm looking at it, not even within this context of this discussion, but in the wider context as a nation. Look at Ghana. You see, look at our culture. Look at the culture itself. The culture is. There's a lot of things we are fighting against too. The culture itself, look at our proverbs. Look at our proverbs. The things we say, there's a root cause. There is a root cause, because I believe that, most of these top-notch, investment bank and, look at the panel around, most of you have lived outside, all right? And now you're practicing in Ghana. There's the same people, that we have in the Bank of Ghana and all those places. And yet we are the mess. So the same Ghanaian, you put him in South Africa, he behaves very well. Bring him here, and the thing changes. So there's a certain root cause, and I think that's where we need the ethics. We will train the student on the ethics. The society. When you get money, you are made chairman of the committee, chairman of the fundraising. Who asks you where you got your money from? who comes to ask you, who comes to let you put now, how did you get your money? You see? So the moral compass of this nation, we are fighting that moral compass with a lot of things. Our culture, the society, all right? So we will do the ethics. The ethics is on one side, but the ethics is fighting against yesterday. You know, look at all those kind of proverbs. The opera, you know, Asantano Kotokono, Yamana bro, you know, see, look. So there is so much we have to do. And I think that I, for one, would go for the law, all right, and the enforcement of the law. What is the role of, you know, universities, you know, or the role of university education, all right, in building this? Yes, universities must make sure. In South Africa, there is a university that says that if you want to destroy the soul of the nation, it starts from here, right? So the university must make sure that all the ethical instruments that, you know, a student would have to pick up right from here are given them. All the tools, you know, that students need, the toolkit must be given them. All right, that I agree. But when the student is out in the society, we must also on the other side enforce the rules of engagement in law and enforcement of the law, so that you have this prepared ethical student coming into an environment where he believes that when he enforces the law, all right, he's not going to lose his job. He's not going to lose his job. And that the law will speak and fight on his behalf. So I think it goes hand in hand. If we do that, then we know that the people that we are entrusting our money and our financial, situations to, they will be forced to, yeah. So I think we need to look at it from both sides.
Great, thank you for that. We've spent quite a lot of time already. And so to conclude the session, I would like to ask each of our panelists to, you know, give us a few nuggets for an investor. What sort of things should they do to ensure that the service provider equally puts their interest first? What should they do as an investor before you make the decision to invest? What should you look out for? Once you made the investment, what other actions can you take to ensure that the service provider is indeed pursuing your best interest? I think Mr. Boache can begin, followed by Dr. Wilberforce Agri, and then Professor Seifwa. Yes, Mr. Gapson, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me, Lydia?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, right. I was saying, I believe this is my final comment. Therefore, I will try to encapsulate everything in a quick summary format, which captures the theme that we've all been passionately talking about, putting investors first. If I come in as an investor, or before I even approach a person or an institution or a corporation, for the person to act for me, I would like to see or feel comfortable that I have that confidence for the person to act on my behalf. That confidence should then translate into me being able to feel safe. Safe in the sense that although the product is intangible, yet I should be able to feel safe when I'm there or when I'm not there and my assets or investments are with the person. And that person helps me to be able to learn. In that case, the environment is a learning environment and not a punishment environment. And the same applies to even the employees. And that because of that belief, there's that capacity to build based on experience, so that we all move together to build trust and confidence. Why? Because it is a relationship. And that relationship has an underneath code of ethical behavior, i.e., being able to have that trust, accept that trust duties put on me, and I execute it in such a manner that my client feels happier and has the faith and stays loyal, and that I show care, that it is as if it's mine, and that any decision that goes wayward will affect all of us. And then in that effect, for us to be able to build that trust, the employees must come from a society where the culture, the behavior, the language, the symbols, the attitudes, all those things that can be defined or as features of culture comes together to fit a purpose. And that when they are giving information to me, it is accurate and that I can trust. Thank you very much.
Right. Dr. Wilberforce, what nuggets would you give a typical investor? I mean, actions to take to make sure that indeed the service provider is pursuing his or her interests.
Well, I just want to associate myself with what my senior brother said, because yeah, I think we want to see investment firms that are credible, trustworthy. They give us the information, the requisite information that we need. Though, as investors, it also behoves on us to double check the information that we are given. We need to be objective. So we need financial institutions that are objective with us. So if they are comparing rates, they are telling us that this is this, that is that, and it's true. So I think trust, credibility, information, and objectivity should be some of the watchwords for both the investors and the institutions. So there will be mutual trust between us.
Right. Prof. Emmanuel, you can also
Thank
come
you,
in.
thank you, Lydia. Yeah, just to add to what my colleagues have just said, I also believe that trustworthiness is very crucial, and then ethical behavior from the investor. And I also believe that the investor, they also need to do their homework by doing some research. Now we have internet all over the place. So you can do a little bit of research and have a fair idea of what you need before you can approach the relevant investment or financial advisor. Because if you don't do that, you will land yourself into big trouble. And because there's a saying that when you are sick of malaria, you go and see the doctor. You visit the doctor, he will diagnose you and prescribe the right drugs. But if you just go straight to the pharmacist will sell, he'll just sell the drug to you. He may sell the wrong drug and then you'll be in trouble because he or she is not a medical doctor. The medical doctor will diagnose and know that, okay, this is what is worrying you, then go to the pharmacy and then they'll give you the right medication. So that is, you do a bit of research fairly and you have a fair idea and then you go to the relevant investor. And then I think that relationship will be built strongly in both directions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Many thanks to our panelists today for helping us to understand the various aspects and issues surrounding the concepts or idea or the need to actually put the client's interest first If there are any questions, we would like to address them now. Gifty, could you help us see if there are any questions? If you have a question, you may equally raise your hand using the raise your hand button on your screen. Any questions from our audience? Right, currently it appears there is no question. And so I would ask one last question and we would indeed round up. I wanted to ask about the use of technology. What do you think is the place or the role of technology in, ensuring, or as part of efforts to, ensure that we put our clients' interests first? How can we leverage on technology? Enoch Wilberforce, Kojo, you can come in on this.
Okay.
How should we begin to leverage technology? Yes.
I will come in. In practice, I think the use of technology should be applied in such a way as, let me put it in a bit, like how you will use the value chain model, right from the beginning of research, inputting or outsourcing your whatever, processing, and all the way to the end. So if you look at all the parameters within the value chain, from HR, finance, procurement, whatever, customer service, everything, warehousing, name it, in the same format within the financial institution, we have those directorates. A directorate where, let's say, someone might think, oh, warehousing, there's no warehousing in a financial institution. That's wrong. Our warehousing is the library, the research desk, where you keep stock of various information that people can access, staff can access, and those sort of stuff. So technology should be the base where ye learning, ye execution, ye reporting, ye meetings, ye conversational, whatever. Everything that makes the system works better with the technology should be applied. With this COVID, we're not going to turn back. Every 100 years, it happens. Something drastic happens, it changes the course of doing business and living in our society. We are at that point now. COVID has changed it. The earlier and the best we apply technology in all aspects, because it can do anything you think of it. Anything, it can work. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Hello.
On this, yes, hello.
Lydia, I'm coming. Sorry, this Prof. To add to what he's saying, the issue of fourth industrial revolution is here with us. And then the 5G is here, where people are also doing some theories concerning the 5G and COVID, which I don't believe in. It's very crucial that the technology can be used to leverage our work, investment professionals. You don't necessarily need to see clients anymore face to face. You can use technology. Apps are there, can use, and then you can even use the apps to update them about current investment, etc. If they are interested, they can log in and that type of thing. It's very crucial. Even I'm even going to do a course now on blockchain technology, which can be used to in tax collection to really monitor even VAT, so people cannot even evade VAT. So technology can be used to leverage a whole lot of things to even minimize the cost of doing business. So from my point of view, let's all take technology seriously. The fourth industrial revolution is there. We cannot ignore it. If you ignore it, you will be ignored forever. So that is my final comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Many thanks to our panelists for today. I'd like to hand over to Gifty for the final closing remarks. Gifty.
Yeah, hello. Thank you so much, Lydia. That was extremely insightful. I want to say a very big thank you to all panelists, Dr. Wilberforce Agri from KNUST. I want to say thank you to Prof. Emmanuel Asefwa, from South Africa. We also want to say a big thank you to Gabson Kojo-Boache, who happens to be the CEO of Monarch Capital. Great insights from you. I want to say a very big thank you to our president of the CGI network, Enoch Wuntumi. Great ideas, great submissions right there. And also to our chairperson of our membership committee, Emmanuel Saki. I mean, every one of you were great. In the absence of questions, it only suggests to us that every single thing that you guys said have been well explained, and then people understand clearly. I mean, with absolute clarity and precision, submissions have been made. And so possibly that is why we do not have any questions at hand. If not for that, we would have been asking some questions and then answering them for everyone to see. But then on this note, we want to say a very big thank you. The summit has been a success. Whoever joined, for all participants, I know that you have gained much information about fund managers, about individual investors, and we have also heard from those who are talking from an academic standpoint. I want to say a very big thank you. If you are here and you are not yet a CGIA member, you would want to take advantage of the ongoing scholarship schemes that have been provided for both members and non-members. Like I said, if you want to join the CGIA, you could visit us at www.cgiainstitute.org. Okay, www.cgiainstitute.org, and then you can interact with us if you have any questions. We are always in the office. You can pass through, and then together, let's build the finance and investment industry. Once again, we would say a big thank you to all panelists, to everybody who joined. I want to say that until we meet again, let's uphold to ethics. Thank you.
Thank you very much.